Dave, it's lovely to see you. How are you today?
Okay, thank you, Maria. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I know you've had a busy week, so I'm probably tired end of the week, but it's lovely to catch up with you. And I think people listening in will be curious, because they're nosy like me, I'm sure, to understand how and when you got into the speaker bureau world. What were you doing before and how did you end up in bureau land?
Well, background, I was in the music business. I was a promoter and a tour manager. And then when my oldest son was born, I decided I had to get a real job. If you can call this a real job. And so back in 96, I joined Celebrity Speakers in Burnham. And the rest is history. 25 years later, I was still there. And I left last summer. Another effects of COVID changed everything for everyone. And I just wanted a bit more work-life balance and sort of finished off with my competition clause in the contract and now freelance and working also with Speakers Associates.
So 1996, you said, yes? And of course, 1998 was a very important year for the world of speaker bureaus because an incredible woman joined Celebrity Speakers and sat opposite you.
I found that's when it all went a bit downhill, to be honest.
So rude. Oh my goodness. So how many years did we work together at Celebrity Speakers? I think it must have been about 3.5, 4.
Were you only there long? It seems so much longer.
Thank you. You're so
How long?
kind.
No, you were there longer than that, surely.
I think it was only 3.5 years, because then I took a bit of a break and then I went to London Speaker Bureau. So 1998 until, for me, it was 23 years. And then I've sort of moved working with speakers. But I totally get what you're saying in terms of wanting a bit more life balance, because I don't think people realize quite how hard we worked in bureaus. It's hard work, isn't it?
It is. And I sort of saw it as when COVID came along, it forced me off the hamster wheel. And I was a director of Celebrity Speakers, but I got furloughed just like the rest of the world did them for 9 months. I was sitting there doing stuff I hadn't done for so long because I spent so much time in the office and on aeroplanes and flying around the world with speakers and all the rest of it. And I just really enjoyed sitting there reading my books, walking the dog, sitting in the garden. I thought, I haven't done this for so long. This is great. And so when furlough ended, I decided, you know what, I'm going to work-life balance. I'm going to just go on my own and just do a bit here and there when I need to. And the important things that you thought were important then didn't seem to be that important anymore.
Yeah, it's incredible. It has changed a lot for a lot of us. And what would you say? Because I mean, you're still sort of in the industry now, on a freelance basis, and you're supporting Speakers Associates, as we heard in the introduction, which is wonderful. And in fact, Cosimo Turoturo, founder of Speakers Associates, is another Celebrity Speakers escapee, isn't he?
See there when you started or afterwards?
I interviewed him. I interviewed him. I
No
had
wonder
to
he
give
left early.
I had to give the yay or nay, actually. So yeah, and I said to Alex Krywald, who was the big boss at the time, I said, yeah, bring him in. Let's give him a go. So yeah, so I caused that problem in the industry as well. So that's fun, isn't it? But
Well done you, because I'm
yeah, no, he was a good recruit. So tell me, in your view, how things have changed in the last 25 years. I mean, in terms of technology, it's crazy from what I've seen, but also in terms of, I think, numbers of speakers, numbers of clients, number of events. What do you think?
Well, back in 96 when I started, there was no internet, there was no emails. It was all telephone work, and it still is telephone work. It should be telephone work, in my opinion. An email is 20 emails is not worth one telephone conversation. But back in 96, of course, it was all on the telephone and you had to fax proposals out to clients.
I remember.
And faxing proposals with photographs on is not very easy. And I think the reason I was so successful in the industry is because I started there when it was on the telephone and you get used to doing it. People who start in the industry now have only been doing it for 10 years. They're used to the internet, they're used to emails, and they spend too much time emailing and doing the virtual stuff, if you like. There's no substitution for a telephone conversation or indeed meeting up with a client or a potential client. There's no substitute for it, no matter what technology will come along. Technology has been and will go. The core is it's a people business. It's people talking to people. And that's what I've always done. And I just make a call, put the phone down, put the phone up, put the phone down, put the phone up. I've always done that. And I think that that was a really good grounding for me to go in later life in this industry.
Completely agree with you. I had the same experience that we spoke on the phone, and you can have a discussion on the phone, you can build a relationship, build rapport, and in fact you can close the deal in one phone call and
Yeah,
make all the
absolutely.
decisions, and then you can summarize it on your fax. But certainly it's true, later on in the business, there's some clients that won't ever get on the phone, and some consultants who won't ever get on the phone, and then you don't really build that relationship. So
How can you convince a client about a speaker and sell them the speaker and their attributes and all the rest of it by email? You can't. You need to talk to them, and you need to be there to answer the questions and have the dialogue. And you and I were both the same at Celebrity Speaker. We're both incredibly successful here. And two of maybe a few people that might have been, and the rest of the people weren't on the telephone. They were doing it by email. Now, it's not rocket science to work it out. If you make 50 telephone calls a day and you get 3 inquiries, well, if you make 100 telephone calls a day, you get 6 inquiries, and so forth and so forth. But how many emails would you have to send to get an inquiry or get through to the person you need to get through to sell them a speaker? Hundreds. You and I both know that. If we send a cold call email to people, they're not going to get back to you because they get 100 emails and you don't even know if it's going to get through because of spam and all the rest of it. They're just not going to get back to you. If you want to speak to someone, if you want to sell someone a speaker, you talk to them on the telephone or you arrange to meet them.
Yeah, brilliant advice. If we stop there, that's a golden nugget already. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
What would you say has got better though since 1996 in the industry?
Well, technology, again, you've got to use it as a tool. It's a double-edged sword because obviously it's easier for speakers to show them your videos, to upload your videos. You can send them out to clients after the telephone call and all the rest of it and all the other information that they might have. But of course, the internet being a double-edged sword means most speakers have got their own websites. As a bureau, a lot of people are going to go directly to that speaker afterwards once you've made them the sale, if you like. And they just say, right, I've got to go directly now because they can get everyone on the internet. Everyone is available on the internet.
Yeah. So that's got harder in a way, isn't it?
It has got much harder. And the joy about being a good speaker agent is then you're not just imparting names to them, but you're giving them professional service. You're giving them trustworthy service. And you're not just becoming a booker. You've got to work harder at it, which means you've got to consult more with the client. You've got to really dig into what they want. And so when you eventually come up with the right speaker for them and they're happy with it, then they're just going to book it with you, and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
It's relationship. It's all about relationships. People buy from people. I was taught very, very early. People buy from people. IBM doesn't buy from celebrity speakers, if you like. Joe Bloggs at IBM buys from Dave. And that's the way it is, and that's the way it's always been.
Thank you, Dave. That's really, really good, really useful information. So here's something that people may not realize. Speakers may realize that, and I'm sure a lot of them do, that bureaus specialize in certain areas. They specialize in markets or in types of speakers or the kinds of industries they work in, maybe. But they may not realize that actually the people within the bureau specialize. So, I mean, if I think about me and you and Kate Lossius, who's now at London Speaker Bureau, who was also at Celebrity Speakers, we were all interested in totally different speakers. And we went deep into those subject areas that we were interested in. I mean, Kate was always finance, economists and heads of state. I've always liked sort of like the, performance, creativity, innovation, that kind of area, futurists. What was your area?
I was sport, music, motivational speakers. And between the three of us, we pretty much had all the basics.
Covered it. Yeah, just about, didn't we? Yeah.
And that's the thing. When you're working at a speaker bureau, each person at his desk is like a little satellite office. And each person has an expertise in specific subjects. So if I needed a management consultant speaker that obviously I knew the basics and stuff and who would be the best person, I'll just come and see you and say, Maria, who's the best person for this? Or finance speaker to Kate, and if you needed a sportsman or a motivational speaker, you'd come to me.
Like football,
it won't work.
especially, you were the man, and you probably still are the man. I mean, football is, I just glaze over. I don't know anything about football, but you used to, like, off the top of your head, all of the, yeah, this person, that one's this match, yeah, he'll do that.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
and that's how it's been since then. But that's how it is with quite a lot of subjects now, because after 25 years doing it, it's just all in there. You just know who's good, who's not good, how much people are, who'd be right for this and who'd be right for that. And you specialize in as much as you can, but you're going to have your own personal preferences, which is what led me to looking after Bruce Dickinson. It was specifically that reason. It's music. I'm into that sort of music. I've been since I was a kid, and it was a natural progression.
And he's a cool bloke to spend time with, right?
Absolutely, yeah. The worst things to do than fly around the world with a rock star.
Yeah, God, I don't know. Hey, you end up flying around the world with a rock star, and I end up in Surrey. But anyway, there you go.
What does that
Brilliant.
tell you?
I don't know. I don't know.
Right.
You've done all right. So actually, you've mentioned Bruce, and there's clearly a difference when you are working specifically for someone like Bruce Dickinson. You're representing him, you're promoting him and his work, and involved in probably more than just his speaking. How do you manage the two, where you're managing someone exclusively and their work, and you're also representing other people who are not exclusive to you, but are available via other bureaus and directly? What's the difference in terms of how you approach it?
Well, you're obviously spending more time with the person that you are representing yourself. Like I said, I spent a lot of time with Bruce over the last dozen years, flying around the world with him. But of course, you can still work while you're doing all that. But in regards to Bruce, when we met, he wasn't a speaker. And so I had to make a decision at the time, okay, how much effort am I going to put into this, in becoming a speaker? So we did a couple of events and he wasn't sure, and we tweaked it and took some advice from other speakers and showed him what he should and shouldn't do. I knew there was something there as a speaker. He's a natural showman. And he, within 6 months, he's a smart guy. He got it. And the rest is history. He does, up until COVID, he was probably doing 25 a year. And now COVID's over, he's started to do them again. Obviously, you can only do them when he's not on tour. This is virtual. But you've really got to buy into that person. You've got to like them, first of all, as a person, as a human being. You've got to get on. They could be the best speaker in the world, but if you've got to spend time with someone, so much time with them, and you don't really get on with them, or you don't particularly like them, then the relationship's not going anywhere. So you've really got to buy in to that person and spend more time with them, or as much time as you can, and you eventually learn everything there is to know about that person when it comes to being a speaker. So, if someone calls me about Bruce, then I've got all the information they're ever going to need and more, and I've probably forgotten a load of stuff that I'm going to bore them with. But with other speakers that aren't exclusive to you, you've got to be aware that even though you represent a couple of people exclusively, you can't forget about everyone else, because your speakers aren't going to fit all the briefs. Not far from it. So you've really got to just keep up to date with what everyone's doing as much as you can. And it's your knowledge basis. It's knowledge management. Like I say, it's all in there over the last 25 years. And although I can't remember what I had for breakfast, I can seem to remember the important points from the last 25 years that I need to know about specific speakers.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's interesting because you said that you saw something in Bruce and you thought this is worth spending time. And I love it when you come across somebody, whatever their background, and you see something, as Simon Cowell says, the X factor, and you bring somebody new into the industry, into the business. It's quite exciting to have that happen.
Yeah. I mean, I knew there was something there. He's obviously not afraid of standing on a stage in front of people, because he does it to 100,000 people. He's an actual showman. I knew that wasn't an issue, and that is an issue to some people because it's an art. Speaking is a very different art to performing on stage. And obviously I was a fan. I knew about him. I knew about his business stuff because I just have. And I just recognized, thought, you know what, he's going to be a great speaker. I'm sure he will. And I know how mad Iron Maiden fans are about Iron Maiden.
I've seen it because you invited me to an event. I saw it in person. I thought, oh my goodness.
When you go with him to Brazil or somewhere like that, it's like the Pope's arrived. It's quite incredible. You have to see it to believe it. You can't explain what a star he is out there. He has to have bodyguards everywhere, comes out of his hotel in South America, blah, blah, blah. So that was obviously a big thing, because a lot of the decision makers nowadays, they're of an age where they grew up with Iron Maiden, like I grew up with Iron Maiden, and they're going to be Iron Maiden fans, especially in areas like South America. So you're halfway there anyway. They're going to be hooked straight away. You don't have to do the explanation of who he is. The hard part was to areas like Europe and America and the UK. Well, that's great. He's a rock star. Well, what's a rock star going to tell me about business?
Yeah.
You know, they think rock star and they think Ozzy Osbourne or something. But so you've got to switch, sell it, and say, well, he's actually a businessman inside a rock star's body, and then you can sell it and just twist it around. So that was quite a hard sell to start with, but reputation is everything. Everyone knows what he can do as a speaker. They go online, they see the videos on YouTube, they see his TED talk, and word of mouth gets about, and he is what he is. So if someone wants some corporate showbiz, as I call it, but from a great speaker who can impart a lot of knowledge about a lot of subjects, then he's the man.
I mean, he's very lucky because you've basically given him this most amazing advertisement today, and he's got the right representative. So well done, Dave. Fantastic.
Oh, I'll show him this video after.
Yeah, show him the video. Yeah, he might give you a pay rise. You never know.
Unlikely.
Bruce. Oh, okay. So apart from obviously that sort of celebrity factor that he has, what is important for speakers who perhaps haven't got that background? What would you look for in a speaker that makes them bookable and sellable?
Well, they've got to be comfortable on stage, obviously. You could be the most knowledgeable person in your subject. If you can't deliver on stage, then it's all irrelevant. Because I think they did a study that the maximum time a speaker should be on stage is 45 minutes. Because after that, no matter who you are, people's attention will wane. Well, you've got to keep that person's attention for 45 minutes. You can't give them death by PowerPoint. A few slides and a few funny slides are great. But you can't baffle them with figures and facts. You've got to be charismatic. And so obviously video to show clients about that speaker is so important nowadays. Everyone asks for it. You've got to have a video of showing who you are, because everyone else has got one. And if they're going to take a punt on spending X thousands of pounds on a speaker to come and speak at their event, if they're no good, the boss is going to say, well, what happened there? So that, you know, you've really got to hold the hand now. Which back in the day when I started, it wasn't so prevalent because people didn't have videos.
No, they didn't. And if they did, they would post. Gosh, we had Betamax and VHS videos that were posted. Do you remember?
They get lost in the post.
Oh.
And back in the day, there were, if you weren't a celebrity or a name in your field, if you like, it was so difficult to get work because you had nothing there to show people. If someone is known to people, they're going to be halfway there. We were at the time. Whereas if you were just a professional speaker, unless you've been doing it for a while and word of mouth's about, it's very, very difficult.
Yeah, it was harder. Absolutely. Do you think there are too many speakers on the circuit now?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know you were going to say that.
There are gazillions, bajillions.
Yeah.
Right, in one way, but in another way, everyone's a speaker in the same way as everyone's a speaker bureau now. Everyone, you've got Joe Bloggs in his office, or in his bedroom even, with a computer and a telephone and a website, and he's a speaker bureau.
Yeah.
And it can water it down, I think. I'm not saying, you know, there needs to be 10,000 less speakers, but it's great to have choice. But choice doesn't necessarily mean quality. It's all about quality. And if people are selling speakers to an event that aren't really doing their job, then that gives the industry a bad name. And next time they probably won't buy a speaker. You know, so I'm not trying to detract from people to becoming a speaker, but you've got to be doing it for the right reasons. You've got to be good at it. Because if you're not good at it, you're going to get found out, and then it affects everything. But I do equate that to speakers and speaker bureaus. If someone buys a speaker from a speaker bureau who aren't very good and they don't deliver the service, and that could be Joe Bloggs in his bedroom with his computer, then that looks bad on speaker bureaus, because the perception they get from a speaker bureau is basically word of mouth or their website. And someone can have an all singing, all dancing website and be one person and not very good at it and charging so much money and not delivering the service. And then before you know it, the MD or the decision makers, they're not going to go through a speaker bureau. I'm going to find the speaker myself. And so that affects speaker bureaus. And I think that is also quite relevant to speakers.
It's interesting. It is interesting because, as you say, I remember when I started, there were very few speakers. You're absolutely right. So there was a much smaller selection, and we often had to go out looking for speakers because a client would come and ask for a topic that we didn't have, and you'd have to go and do all the research. And as you said, we didn't have the internet, so it was quite different. Now there are so many, and there are bureaus who are proud to say we've got 10,000, 15,000 speakers on our roster, and I defy any person in that bureau to know all of those speakers on that roster.
I mean, I used to sell probably 150, 200 a year speakers, and they weren't all different speakers. You know, you'd sell someone 4 times, someone 5 times. So I maybe sell 60, 70 different speakers throughout the year, because you can have your favorite speakers or ones that you like to work with. There were speakers on our website and in our database I've never even heard of. No idea who they are. No idea what they talk on. They've been on there years. Right, so you've got a list of 10,000 speakers, but that doesn't make them 10,000 good speakers.
Yeah, that's interesting.
10,000 people. You know, you can add people every day. You can look in the newspaper and always make a good speaker, add his details on. Does that make him a speaker, or does that make him a name?
I don't know if I told you, but I did a study in 2019, because 2019 had been an absolute record year. We all know what happened in 2020, so we won't go there. And I thought, well, I'll look at, because London Speaker Bureau is one of the biggest international bureaus, and I thought I'll look at their figures and see. At that time, internationally, so think about it, it had 25 offices then in 18 countries, and there were 4,500 speakers on the roster, which is not a huge number when you divide it up by the number of offices, right? And I thought, I wonder how many speakers accounted for 80% of the turnover, thinking, 80-20 rule. And I was expecting it to be 900. And you could have knocked me down with a feather. It was 45. 45. So that it's such a small number. And that's globally. So each, offices in Asia and the US and the Middle East and Africa were favouring the same top speakers as the UK or Germany or France. It was absolutely fascinating.
Good speaker's a good speaker.
Exactly. And actually, here's a question for you. Do you prefer to work in the UK? Do you prefer to work internationally? Do you prefer to work with mainly British speakers? Do you like to have an international outlook? What's your approach these days?
No, it's international now. I mean, back in the day, I was strictly UK. I mean, when you joined, there was a Celebrity Speakers UK and a Celebrity Speakers International.
There was, yes. I was with international. I think you were with UK, yes.
Oh, yeah, because the international ones are the ones that spoke other languages.
Yeah.
UK ones are the ones like me, the Dumbos, who only spoke English.
No, don't ever say that. Never say that. Never say that.
So, and that was back in the day when globalization wasn't really a thing.
Yeah, yeah. We were ahead of our time. We were ahead of our time. Absolutely.
But the world's got smaller. Most of my bookings selling speakers are from outside the UK. Vast majority of them, especially with someone like Bruce, who crosses all barriers in all countries. So no, I consider myself an international agent now, if you like, one of a different phrase, but only because the world has got smaller, and you're able to do that. And the internet is obviously a massive thing with that. Back in the day, like I say, with no internet, I'm not going to call anyone up in Germany because I don't speak German, and you spoke Italian, and you were going to speak to everyone in Italy. I'm only going to speak to people in the UK. If an inquiry came in that was for a company outside the UK, I didn't get it. Rightly so. What's the point? How am I going to relate to someone in my language and they might not speak it? But like I say, the world's got so much smaller, and that is the internet for sure. And now the inquiries are coming from all over the world, and anyone can deal with it.
On the spot here, and I don't know if you'll have an answer. You might have to come back to me another time and we'll update this. I don't know. We'll let people know. And I don't know if I've got an answer, but in an ideal world, how would you like the speaking industry to evolve? What would you like to see happen next?
What I'd like to see happen next, I would like to see all the inquiries for speakers to come to me.
To you? Okay, well, maybe we'll make that happen. We'll wave a magic wand. If anybody's listening, if you've got any inquiries for speakers, send them to Dave.
I don't know is the answer. I'm not sure how much more it can evolve. Virtual changed it, of course.
Yeah, I think virtual's been a positive thing actually
It's been
overall.
around for a while, but no one wanted to know, and who can blame them? Because if you book a speaker, you want to be in the room with that speaker, especially if it's a celebrity type name, if you like. What's the point of doing it virtually? Nothing. It's all about people being in a room with that person and meeting them. So virtual changed it because it was the only game in town for a good year and a half. And it's changing now because virtual's staying. People are still booking virtual speakers because obviously it's cheaper.
Mm.
Virtual is always going to stay around, I thought, for people who were delivering speeches on content. If it was content driven and if you're an expert in a field, then virtual makes sense because you're still getting the content. If you're getting the celebrity motivational type, all that jazz, then that's a live thing. That's not going to work virtually. So it's become a hybrid. It's becoming less of a hybrid because now we can have live events again. There is no alternative in real life, and there's no competition to having your live speaker on stage in the room with people. We're social beings. We like to be with people. We don't like to look at them as on a screen particularly. We want to be in a room with people. We want to interact with people. We want to look at them in the eyes. And so that's why the speaker world's never going to go away. The live speaker world's never going to go away. But it's adapting to the world of virtual now. And so there is a time and a place for both.
Yeah, I definitely completely agree with you. And I think the best thing about the virtual world is the fact that it is so much more inclusive because of the costs, as you said,
Yes.
and the fact that so many more people can be involved. And I think that's great. But as you say, it's never going to replace the live because we do want the live. We want the opportunity to meet the people that we really admire and shake their hands and have our
Absolutely.
photos taken with them and all that
Absolutely.
great
But
stuff.
what it's done is enabled people who want to book a content-driven speaker, one of the big American speakers. They've never been able to afford them in a million years. Probably costs half the fee again to fly them over first class from San Francisco. They don't have to deal with that anymore. The fee's going to be cheaper. There's no costs. And all of a sudden, their budget might be able to stretch to one of the big American speakers that are globally known for as being experts in their field.
Perfect. Dave, you've given me so much value, given our audience so much value. It's been fantastic. Lovely catching up with you as usual. What last piece of advice or tip would you like to leave any speaker listening to this podcast, either about working with bureaus or working generally? What could you say to them? This will help you get more business.
I would say to them, don't be exclusive with a speaker bureau, especially if you're just starting out, because they promise you the world and they won't deliver it.
Controversial advice there,
Well,
Dave.
yeah,
Controversial.
but if you're a new speaker and you get in touch with a speaker and say, I want to be a speaker, will you take me exclusively? And they say yes. Well, they don't know much about you to start with. And more often than not, it's going to cut your wings in regards to the other speaker bureaus booking you. You're not gaining anything by that bureau looking after you unless they're going to promote the hell out of you. And they're probably not going to do that because they can have other people they're going to be doing it as well. And it's going to be another name amongst other names. If it's a new speaker starting out, I'd say know your subject, be comfortable on stage, be charismatic. Don't baffle people with too many slides and too many facts and figures. At the end of the day, you're putting on a 45-minute show for people on stage. And they need to go away remembering it for the right reasons. In regards to what you need to promote yourself to speaker bureaus, you need all the technology now that is available to everyone. You need a good video link, a good show reel, not the whole speech, just a snapshot of the show reel. You need your high-res photos, you need your topics, you need evaluations from clients, you need everything you can possibly get. But ultimately, what you've got to be is friendly to the person on the other end of the telephone. Because you make friends with a speaker bureau consultant, they're going to remember you and they're going to like you. And so when your topic comes up next for an event, well, they're going to put you in. If they don't really like you, or you're brash with them, or offish with them, or they think they're taking too much of your time when you speak to them, it doesn't matter how good you are. There's going to be other people that are going to propose before you. And it's a people business. You've got to remember that you're selling yourself to those people. You know, you're not selling yourself to Celebrity Speakers or London Speaker or whatever. You're selling yourself to Joe Bloggs, who picks the phone up when you call them.
Fantastic. So we've come back in a circle, haven't we? It's a people business. It's people dealing with people. And that Joe Bloggs has been very busy throughout this podcast.
Busy guy. He's a busy guy.
Really busy guy. And you're a busy guy. So I thank you so much for your time. I hope you've enjoyed it and it's not been too painful.
No, not at all. Not at all. Lovely to speak to you.
Wonderful. And thank you for listening to Speaking Business Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please leave a rating on Apple Podcasts. Tell your friends, share it. And until next time, I've been Maria Franzoni. Bye-bye for now.